Good day. I hope you're all doing very well. I had a very timely question come in from Usama, a Patreon question, but I thought I'd just feeling really inspired just to keep posting to YouTube and have everything just kind of be out there, out front. As an old Patreon member once told me, she said she liked how sometimes I would answer her questions and then put them out front on YouTube. So the question is, could you share some thoughts about anger, repression, and authenticity and your experience with it, and how it is linked with your power in setting boundaries? So I'm just feeling inspired to share my experience that I had today, and we'll see if it ties in and how it ties in and all that. Yeah, I'm even feeling some just shame in general, but a little bit of shame and guilt. So that's the thing, is to really honor our anger, sometimes we're gonna have to do things that feel very uncomfortable. Sometimes we're gonna have to do things that it feels like, oh no, I'm gonna let that other person down, or I might hurt them. It's like to really honor anger, like our anger, if we honor it, it's gonna break down our codependent kind of patterns. That's a lot of what anger is sometimes in relationship with another, is this feeling of being a prisoner to codependency. This feeling of you can't speak your truth because, and it goes back to childhood. Like in childhood, this feeling we can't speak our anger because we're gonna get hurt if we do. Maybe for some of you, for some of us, maybe it's literal physical abuse or pain that might come your way if you let your anger speak authentically, when you were a little one. So there's this sense of like your anger is not welcome. There's this sense in these places that are angry, like there's this sense of they don't get to have boundaries. And we like, if we don't heal in those places, we carry that into adulthood. And then as adults, we find ourselves carrying out those same patterns where we feel like if we're to express anger or to set a boundary or to speak a need, that something awful is going to happen. And yeah, someone might have a reaction to it. They might not like it. That's the thing with human relating. Sometimes when you set a boundary or when you speak a need, it's true, people might not like that. But you're no longer a child anymore. You're not helpless. You don't have to stuff your anger. You're an adult now. You get to, you're an adult. It gets to be okay if someone doesn't like what you say. There's not imminent danger like there was perhaps when you were a child, when it comes to expressing your anger in a healthy way. Now, I'm not saying we go project our anger onto others or we go blame them or anything like that. There are healing spaces that we can find where we can do that. And we can move anger that way in safe containers. What I'm speaking to is that anger you're feeling in your body when there's a need you want to speak into the space with another or a group, etc., and you don't feel safe to do it. And so that anger just grows and grows and grows. And and then you start having to repress it because you don't feel safe enough to speak it. And it could just be a simple need, like, hey, I want this light off. Hey, that music's too loud. Even something that trivial, I've experienced in the past when I wasn't embodied in this area, and I've still got work to do for sure. But I've experienced even asking for trivial things in a group or with another could bring up all kinds of fear. Probably because when I was little, I had this experience where when I ask for something I need, someone gets mad at me, or I become a problem, things like that, right? So we tend to want to repress our anger. Well, we don't want to, but we just that's the pattern. That's the pathway that's been established. So, when this anger comes up, there's this tendency to not speak the need to the group or to the person. Sorry, there's just a really loud noise out there, trying to not let it distract me. coming back, coming back to ground. So, this is a big part of awakening, is learning that it's okay to have needs, that you can take up space, that you can tell someone to turn the music down. Those are trivial things, but then there arises some really big needs sometimes, and those can be super uncomfortable to share. And then here's the thing also, it might bring up, like I said in the very beginning, the sense of guilt or shame. And that comes from the sense of you don't matter, your needs are irrelevant. That can come from childhood stuff too, where you start to have this, you're bad for having a need. Maybe you were meant to feel really bad and wrong for having the needs you had as a child. Maybe you were meant to feel bad and wrong for having and expressing anger. So here's the thing, we're always, as humans, you're gonna have preferences, other people are gonna have preferences. And here's the thing about speaking a need. The most important thing is you express your need. You express something, like maybe a boundary. And then whether the other person wants to meet it or not, now we're in a whole new realm, right? Now they get to speak what they need. And then this is called human relating. Both people are authentically and consciously speaking their needs into the space. And then maybe compromise is reached. Or maybe it's just like, okay, it's not going to work for us in this way, whatever the context might be. Or maybe the other person just says, of course, yeah, you don't have to be afraid to tell me that. So when we don't know how it will move from there, like from the place of expressing the need, we don't know how it will move. But it's important just for the energetic sense, for you to feel in integrity with your own energy and with your anger and with your own boundaries and your needs. The most important thing is you let them be expressed. And then like I said, the group or the person, they can receive that and then they can have their own thing. But at least now you're in this place of honesty in the space you're in. I was going to share my personal example and that was going to be the video, but this is what's happening. So my example today, and I'll share it. It's relevant. We'll end the video with it. I had this idea that a dyad would be good today, to go into my dyad community. But as it approached, I could feel the energy wasn't supporting that idea. Like I could feel my body and my energy field saying, it was getting clenched and I could feel kind of I didn't know it at the time. And that's the other thing. A lot of us aren't in touch with our anger because we've had to suppress it for so long. We don't even know we're mad when we're mad sometimes. I've come a long way with this, but even I am growing as you're learning, as I'm sharing this example. I didn't even really know it was anger because I went into the dyad space and I could feel energetically like, I actually want to just be in my own energy right now. I want to be alone. I want to be connected to my work. I think in the deepest part of me, I didn't want a dyad. But there was this other kind of idea, right? That maybe I should, or yeah, let's do it. So I got into the dyad space and I felt there was a lot of resistance about it and I didn't want to be there. And this had nothing to do with the other. This was just me in that moment starting to realize, am I maybe not honoring my own self, basically. And actually what happened was something that I've never done before. I was about halfway or 2/3 of the way through the dyad, and it was my turn to be speaking. And I said, the most authentic thing for me to do right now is to tell my partner that I need to leave this space because that is what my system needs. Like, there was so much anger coursing through my system. And we have to have discernment here. I just want to mention this. Like, is this anger arising because I'm in this space and it's this old anger from the past coming up to be transmuted? Or is this anger related to this moment? And is this anger saying, being here is not what is I don't want to be here. Can we please leave? And I did sit with it for a little bit and a little bit and a little bit. And it just became more and more and more crystal clear to me that this anger was communicating to me, leave this space now. And sometimes God sends us these tests, like if we're going to honor our anger in a space where if we do, we're going to have to feel shame and guilt. And some of us would rather just, myself included in the past, I know I would have rather just suppressed my need in that moment for fear of hurting the other person, dropping the other person, for maybe their negative judgment of me, for them seeing, projecting a judgment on me. I would have, in the past, just suppressed what was true and authentic for me in that moment, the need to leave. Rather, that way I didn't have to feel the shame and the guilt about it and all the other feelings. But there was something, I could even hear God speaking to me so clearly. Like, are you going to face your fear of what might happen in this moment and honor this need? Or are you going to suppress this need, disconnect from yourself because you're afraid of what someone might think or whatever? And the feeling I felt when I came forward and shared it, like I had to. At a certain point, you do get so connected with yourself and your emotions and your energies and your needs that, getting so many chills right now, that you have to speak your needs. You can't suppress yourself anymore. It doesn't matter where you are or what you're afraid it might happen. The truth will just come out eventually. And so it was so interesting. As I spoke that truth, I could feel shame. I could feel terror. I could feel guilt. I could feel genuine, dang, I'm so sorry. And that was real too. And I even said, I don't like that this is the most authentic thing. I don't like this at all. And giving a genuine, I'm so sorry that it is. But as I did it, and as I told the person, I need to leave for my system to be okay. As I spoke that need, and I left the container, the only time I've ever done this in a dyad, probably the only time I ever will, most likely. As I did that, I felt a tremendous amount of light come in, like this, a lot of grace. Like almost, it felt like, good job. Good job. Even though the mind could say, you should never do that. That was so bad. That was so wrong. The mind, that's the thing about the mind. The mind will judge your needs. Your own mind. Because your own mind is just conditioning. It's your parents. It's society. It's culture. It's whatever. It's trauma. It's rooted in fear. Your own mind will judge your needs. But you have to know you're not your mind. You have to know you're not the fear. You're not the shame. You're not the guilt. You're not the should or the shouldn't. You're not the judgments. You're the light. You have to know who you are a lot of times to listen to your needs and to honor them. And sometimes your needs, like I said, it could be upsetting for others. But you have to make your peace with that. And sometimes other people's needs will be upsetting for you. But the more you start to honor your needs and to really speak them and to own them, the more when other people come to you with their needs, even if it's not what you prefer, there's an understanding and you're letting them, there's more of like an acceptance, like, of course. So there's that too. There's a less of a judgment of other people's needs when you stop judging yourself for your needs, right? And so as empaths, it's so hard for us sometimes to honor our needs because we're so afraid of hurting the other. We're so afraid of upsetting people, rocking the boat, the rejection, whatever. We don't want to abandon anyone because we're so connected. But we have to trust that maybe you honoring your need in that moment was exactly what the other person needed. You don't know. You don't know. You're not God. You're not the one. All you can do is know where you are in every moment. All you can do is trust your capital S self. All you can do is trust your truth and to live that and embody that. And kind of go for broke with it. And see through the shame and see through the fear. And then, however things move from there, it's God. It's God's work. It's God's will moving through you. And so, yeah, I did. I felt some shame about it. I noticed a lot of judgments about the mind. But ultimately, I trusted the light. I trusted what I knew to be true. And I just sent so much love to the other, just from my heart. And so that's the thing about human relating. It's not easy because sometimes our needs, maybe they're going to disappoint another. And that's a reality that can be difficult to face. But ultimately, if you want to live the truth in every moment, if you want to live your honest to God truth in every moment, you have to become okay with disappointing someone, angering someone, triggering someone, dropping somebody. You can feel the remorse about it, like, dang. You can feel the concern about it. And that's actually for the other. But now when we start talking about shame and guilt, that's not. That's more your stuff. You can feel like this tender-hearted remorse, like, oh, shoot, like I'm feeling today. Like for that person, I just feel so much love for them, actually. I feel so much love for them. So much tenderness. You could say a prayer for the other. May they be okay. May they know your love fully, God, in every moment. But it does feel good when you get to this point where you have to honor your truth in every moment. And that's real power. And then boundaries evolve over time as well with this. Boundaries just are at a certain point. You just are boundaried. People can feel it. But yeah, I think that's what I wanted to share. Felt like an inspired video. Thanks for your donations. Thanks for the support. Love meeting you guys in one-on-one sessions. Tried to make them, whatever. There's links, you can check it out. I try to make it more available, all that good stuff. What else? There's always something I'm at the end of these videos, I'm like, I didn't quite say it in every spot. My Virgo mind, it just loves precision. It's just like, I know there's something somewhere that I didn't quite, speak to in this. And human relating is so dynamic and layered and complex. So I swear to God, I could talk about this one example and see it from every perspective a million times through, or for whatever. Getting a bit rambling now, but you guys get what I'm trying to say. Anyways, I love you all so much. Thanks for being here. Thanks for the support. It means a lot to me. And I look forward so much to seeing you in the next video. Namaste.